6. Indirect and pretentious writing. In most writing, small, plain, and direct words are preferable to evasive or showy words. Euphemisms are presumably inoffensive words that substitute for words deemed potentially offensive or too direct, such as passed away for died. Euphemisms can soften the truth, but they are appropriate only when blunt, truthful words could needlessly hurt or offend your audience. Double talk, also called doublespeak or weasel words, is language intended to confuse or be misunderstood. It is unfortunately commonplace in politics and advertising. The revenue enhancement that is really a tax, for example. Double talk has no place in honest writing. Pretentious writing is excessively showy. Such writing is more fancy than its subject requires. Choose your words for their exactness and economy. The big, ornate word may be tempting, but pass it up. Your readers will be grateful. Pretentious. Hardly a day goes by without a new revelation about the devastation of the natural world, and to a significant extent our dependence on the internal combustion engine is the culprit. Respected scientific minds coalesce around the argument that carbon dioxide emissions, such as those from automobiles imbibing gasoline, are responsible for a gradual escalation in the temperatures on planet Earth. Revised. Much of the frequent bad news about the environment can be blamed on the internal combustion engine. Respected scientists argue that carbon dioxide emissions, such as those from gas-powered cars, are warming the Earth. 7. Sexist and other biased language. Even when we do not mean it to, our language can reflect and perpetrate hurtful prejudices towards a group of people. Such biased language can be obvious. Words such as "n," "ha," "m," "k," "f," "d," and "br," but it can also be subtle, generalizing about groups in ways that may be familiar, but that are also inaccurate or unfair. Biased language reflects poorly on the user, not on the person or persons whom it mischaracterizes or insults. Unbiased language does not submit to false generalizations. It treats people respectfully as individuals and labels groups as they wish to be labeled. Stereotypes of race, ethnicity, religion, age, and other characteristics. A stereotype is a generalization based on poor evidence, a kind of formula for understanding and judging people simply because of their membership in a group. Men are uncommunicative. Women are emotional. Liberals want to raise taxes. Conservatives are affluent. At best, stereotypes betray a non-critical writer, one who is not thinking beyond notions received from others. In your writing, be alert for statements that characterize whole groups of people. Stereotype. Elderly drivers should have their licenses limited to daytime driving only. Asserts that elderly people are poor night drivers. Revised. Drivers with impaired night vision should have their licenses limited to daytime driving only. Some stereotypes have become part of the language, but they are still potentially offensive. The administrators are too blind to see the need for a new gymnasium. Equates vision loss and lack of understanding. Revised. The new administrators do not understand the need for a new gymnasium. Sexist language. Among the most subtle and persistent biased language is that expressing narrow ideas about men's and women's roles, position, and value in society. Like other stereotypes, this sexist language can wound or irritate readers, and it indicates the writer's thoughtlessness or unfairness. The following box suggests some ways of eliminating sexist language. Eliminating sexist language. Avoid demeaning and patronizing language. Sexist. Dr. Jim Keith and Lydia Hawkins co-authored the article. Dr. Jim Keith and Dr. Lydia Hawkins co-authored the articles. Jim Keith and Lydia Hawkins co-authored the article. Sexist. Ladies are entering almost every occupation formerly filled by men. Revised. Women are entering almost every occupation formerly filled by men. Avoid occupational or social stereotypes. Sexist. The considerate doctor commends a nurse when she provides his patients with good care. Revised. The considerate doctor commends a nurse who provides good care for patients. Sexist. The grocery shopper could save her coupons. Revised. Grocery shoppers should save their coupons. Avoid referring needlessly to gender. Sexist. Marie Curie, a woman chemist, discovered radium. Revised. Marie Curie, a chemist, discovered radium. Sexist. The patients were tended to by a male nurse. Revised. The patients were tended to by a nurse. However, don't overcorrect by avoiding appropriate references to gender. Pregnant women, not people, should avoid drinking alcohol. Here, avoid using man or words containing man to refer to all human beings. Here are a few alternatives. Businessman, businessperson, chairman, chair or chairperson, congressman, congressperson or legislator, craftsman, craftsperson or artisan, layman, layperson, mailman, letter carrier or mail carrier, mankind, humankind, humanity, human beings, humans, man-made, handmade, manufactured, synthetic, artificial, manpower, personnel, human resources, policeman, police officer, salesman, salesperson, sexist. Man has not reached the limits of social justice. Revised. Humankind, or humanity, has not reached the limits of social justice. Sexist. The furniture consists of man-made materials. Revised. The furniture consists of synthetic materials. Avoid the generic he. The male pronoun used to refer to both genders. Sexist. The newborn child explores his world. Revised. The newborn children explore their world. Use the plural for the pronoun and the word it refers to. Use the last option sparingly, only in a group of sentences, and only to stress the singular individual. Forms of address may vary widely from culture to culture. In some cultures, for instance, one shows respect by referring to all older women as if they were married, using the equivalent of Mrs. Usage in the United States is changing towards making no assumptions about marital status, rank, or other characteristics. For instance, addressing a woman as Miss unless she is known to prefer Mrs. or Miss. Appropriate labels. We often need to label groups: swimmers, politicians, mothers, Christians, Westerners, students. But labels can be shorthand stereotypes, slighting the person labeled and ignoring the preferences of the group members themselves. Although sometimes dismissed as political correctness, showing sensitivity about labels hurts no one and helps gain readers' trust and respect. Avoid labels that intentionally or not insult the person or group you refer to. A person with emotional problems is not a mental patient. A person with cancer is not a cancer victim. A person using a wheelchair is not wheelchair bound. Use names for racial, ethnic, and other groups that reflect the preferences of each group's members, or at least many of them. Examples of current preferences include African American or Black, and people with disabilities rather than the disabled or the handicapped. But labels change often. To learn how a group's members wish to be labeled, ask them directly. Attend to usage in reputable periodicals or check a recent dictionary. Identify a person's group only when it is relevant to the point you're making. Consider the context of the label. Is it a necessary piece of information? If not, don't use it.